They conquered the known world. They built an empire that lasted 1,000 years. Their military machine was the most feared force in human history. But what was it really like to be a Roman soldier? The glory? A myth. The honor? Propaganda. The reality? 25 years of hell. This is why it sucked to be a Roman soldier. You're 18 years old, poor and hungry. Then the recruiters arrive with their polished armor and promises. Glory, wealth, a steady salary of 225 denarii per year. What they don't tell you? You just signed up for 25 years. If you enlist at 18, you won't be free until you're 43. Your entire youth belongs to Rome. Training is brutal. Every day you march 20 miles in full armor, carrying 60 pounds of equipment. The Romans believed sweat saves blood. The reality? It created exhausted, injured men before they ever saw combat. Your centurion carries a vine stick for beating you. Make a mistake? Beaten. Too slow? Beaten. There are records of centurions beating soldiers to death during training. And that equipment? You paid for it out of your salary. Speaking of salary, let's talk about that 225 denarii. Sounds decent, right? Equipment costs, weapons, clothing, food. Yes, you pay for the meals they promised were free. Tent fees, burial club dues, bribes to your centurion to avoid the worst duties. By the time Rome takes its cut, you see maybe 30% of your pay. That 225 denarii becomes 65 if you're lucky. And you can't quit. Desertion is punishable by decimation, from the Latin to remove 1 in 10. If your unit fails, every 10th man is beaten to death by his fellow soldiers. You might have to kill your best friend because your commander needs someone to blame. When you're not fighting, you're building. Roads, aqueducts, fortifications. Rome's famous infrastructure? Built by exhausted soldiers who'd rather be anywhere else. At night, 8 men share a tent barely big enough for 4. No privacy, just snoring, body odor, and disease. And disease is the real killer. For every soldier who died in combat, 3 more died from illness, dysentery, typhoid, infected wounds. The Romans had no concept of germs. Surgeons reused dirty instruments. Latrines bred disease. Got an infected wound? Wine, honey, and prayer. Lost a limb? They sawed it off and cauterized the stump with a red-hot iron. No anesthesia. Now the part Hollywood loves, the battles. Here's the reality. Roman warfare was cramped and terrifying. You stood shoulder to shoulder in formation with about 2 feet of fighting space. You couldn't see beyond the man in front of you. The noise was deafening. The smell, blood, sweat, and human waste. Your gladius sword, only 18 inches long, designed for stabbing at extremely close range. Close enough to look into your enemy's eyes as you kill him. Close enough to feel his blood spray your face. And if you broke formation, your own men would cut you down. One gap could collapse the entire line. After victory, the general took the biggest share of plunder. Officers got the next biggest. Regular soldiers, scraps. After 25 years, if you survived, you got a land grant. Sounds good? It was usually in some remote frontier region where you'd spend retirement fighting off the same barbarians you just spent decades fighting. So, why did men do it? For many, there was no choice. It was service or poverty. For others, the propaganda worked, and for some, it was the brotherhood, that bond forged in shared suffering. The Roman military conquered the world, not because service was glorious, but because Rome convinced men that suffering was noble, that dying for the empire was the highest honor. Today, we marvel at Roman ruins, but behind every monument were soldiers who paid in blood and decades of their lives, men promised glory and given hell. The Roman soldier, respected in death, exploited in life, and forgotten in the glory of the empire they created. That's why it sucked to be a Roman soldier.